Well, we're having a wonderful day today. It's going to be about 50 degrees today. It's not quite there yet. Things are wet, but melting quite well here, except for the snow over here. They're melting so good that, geez, I hope I don't have to put another 60 pounds of sand down here like I did the other day. What do you do with a busted broom? I broke this. It's a Rubbermaid push broom. It broke. Plastic cracked on it. I don't know, maybe a month ago. And I since replaced it with a wooden head, not a plastic head. It just cracked. So what do you do with a broom like this that is useful if the handle was in the middle? Well, this is threaded into the plastic. I don't know if you can see that because I'm using my Kodak ZE1 and that's limited to 10 inches before it gets out of focus. But I think you can see that. This is a metal handle. This part here is metal, but it's threaded into the plastic. So what I'm going to try to do is put the handle in the middle of this. But in order to do that, I got to take the handle off, cut this off here, flush with the bristles, and then mount this on a board and screw the board onto the head of the broom by drilling and probably tapping into it. But the hardest part is going to be screwing this into the wood that I'm going to be mounting onto here. You can't use the broom this way, it's off balance. So we're going to try to utilize this broom so I can use it to clean out my snow blower and small areas. It'll be useful for that. I don't throw anything away, not if I don't have to. Here's the other half of the broom, and I've already cut this end off here. Now, I'm going to have to trim this here, this curvature, with a hacksaw. And then mount it on here and cut this wood the same width. And then drill a hole so I can screw the handle into this. But I don't know how. It's got a very coarse thread on the handle, so I might not be able to get it to stay in there, but we'll see. Right now, the damn table saw is turned the wrong way here, so I need to trim this down. I can't bring it outside. So, what I'm going to do is make some room and move the Harbor Freight goodies here and try to get this table saw turned around a little bit. I still don't have a miter gauge for this. I have to use my Craftsman miter gauge. I'm going to have to order one online for this Delta saw that I got, that I showed you in a video this past summer. Because I'm going to have to get a miter gauge for it. I just haven't had the time, or I got other things that are more important right now, but this spring I'll be looking for a miter gauge for this. It's got to have that groove that fits in here, you know, so that you can pull this out without having a tip like this. See, this don't have it, but this does fit in there perfectly. It's just that it's not long enough, and when you're pulling way out here, it flips out, because this don't have the little groove in here on each side. But I have to use that because that's all I've got. So I'm going to cut these down, and I'll be right back on the video. So grab yourself a cup of coffee, and I'll be right there. I got a Mickey Mouse arrangement here. We put the safety glasses on. This is a good saw, I'll tell you. I just wished well, it won't go over. I guess it goes on one side to the other. Alright, well, we'll cut on this side, no big deal. I was going to cut down on that side, but alright, that's alright. You can see it better. There's a little angle because of the way the brush is made. So we'll just set it right there. And gonna get plugged in here. Now we're running off the lighting circuit here in the shed. So maybe some voltage drop here a little bit. Alright. Of course the floor's uneven. Mickey Mouse this and Mickey Mouse that. Alright. I have a push stick, but it's buried in the back of the shed. So we'll use this. I don't know, I don't like that shaking. We can put a little cardboard under the leg here. That's a little better. All right. Now we got to cut it here. So now this is where I need my miter gauge. We got to borrow the one off the Craftsman 8-inch saw. But you see, I don't know if you can see this, but this shank here needs to be longer. But not on this piece of wood, but if I was using another piece that was wider, I'd need to come out. So the newer saws have the have a little washer here, the new Delta, and this has it, but I don't have the miter gauge. The old style didn't have that, so when you're out here, your damn thing falls off on you. I gotta get a miter gauge for this saw. So right now we're just gonna cut that. And we better flip it over here. All right, except for this little hump here, which I'm going to try to take off. Maybe I'll try to get it off at the table saw. I don't know if I can, though. I don't know if I can do that. If not, I'll have to do it by hand in the vise with a hacksaw. But it's got to be cut off because I want to put it on here, and we can't have it like that. So we got to cut that hump off of there, and then we'll mount it on here like that, using 2 or 4 screws. I'm not sure yet. And you can't put nuts and bolts through here because you're going to have to lose a lot of bristles and dig them out of there. So instead, we'll probably just drill some holes and tap in. This is awful hard working in the shed here. I really need to be out on that bench, but I can't do it today for obvious reasons. I don't know. That over here, back over here for now. Let me see. How the heck am I going to cut that on that? I don't want to freehand it. That's for sure. We got to drive that in here. We got to keep that on the vertical. I think I'm just going to have to stick it in the vise and cut this off. It don't matter whether I use this piece or the one that's already on the handle, the other half. It don't matter because I want to do two of them eventually. But if I can get one made today, it would be good. But I'm not going to be able to do that. Not without making up a jig and stuff. That is going to be awkward. Now if I take and lay this here, that will keep me on the vertical more. Now, this is going to be something I would not recommend anybody to do. I don't think I can do it anyway, so let's just see how high I can come up here with it. I can come up. No. Probably. I can hack the rest of that off by hand. We'll do that off camera. We'll hack that off. Alright. If you can see it. We cleaned it off pretty good here. Enough that it'll fit my wood. Pretty good. You can see that or not. Alright, I'll lower this blade here. It's a little bit dangerous doing this. I don't recommend anybody doing what I did. I'll be the first to tell you this is not a safe way to work at all. We're going to unplug the table saw. Unplugged. So it's a safe work area now. So, what we've got to do here is we've got to drill, I think, 2 holes, maybe 2 1/4-20s. Now, I don't know how thick the stock is here, but I'm venturing to say it's good 3/4 inch. So, we'll drill a hole. Well, we'll drill it in the wood. We're going to put one here and one here. And then we got to have probably a 3/4 or 1 inch hole for the handle so we can screw it down into here. But the problem's going to be the way that handle is, it's got a coarse thread on it. And I want to show you. I'm going to take it off the broom. Alright, I got to get this stick off of here. It's got that coarse thread on it, and I know there's not going to be any nuts that I have that are going to fit that. It's like, almost like an Acme thread, sort of. So I don't know how we're going to do that, but we're going to cross that bridge when we get to it. I got the handle off. Now what I got to do here, I don't know if I'm in view or not, but I got to cut a hole in the center of this and thread it into this piece of wood. But I don't have a nut that would work on this. And of course, have to work with wood because it can't work with metal or with something like this. Average guy would just weld it onto a piece of metal and think nothing of it. I have an 80 amp Craftsman welder that's about 15 years old, but I don't know how to weld, so we'll see what we can do on this. We'll come back in the video in a minute. Alright, I drilled a hole in here. It's a little smaller than this, so I might have to file it out. What we're trying to do is to get it to thread into the wood, which may or may not be possible, because looks like it's going to be a stubborn one. I'm trying to get it to thread into the wood here, because these handles, here's the one I took it out of, you know, they got a coarse thread in them. You can see some of it here, and regular mop handle type of, or broom handle type of thread. So we don't have any way of putting a nut on it, so this is what we got to do. So I use a spade bit, and out my magnifying glass, I think that's 5/8. The next size up is too big, and the thing will not fit tight in there. So what I got to do now is I got to drill 2 1/4-inch holes in the wood here, and then put the slightly smaller holes in here so I can tap a 1/4 thread into them, into this part. But we've got a 1/4-inch drill. This is the Home Depot $3 set that I got last fall, I guess it was, or early winter. So what we're doing here is we're using a 1/4-inch drill to drill the wood. But when we're going to tap into here, now offhand I don't know what the tap is, so we're going 2 sizes smaller. So we're going with a, here's my drill gauge here, and we're going 7/32 into the plastic. 7/32 into the plastic, and 1/4 inch into the wood, because we want to use a 1/4 thread tap in the plastic. So the first thing we're going to do is make our 2 holes in the wood, and then we will know where we got to, at what point we got to drill into the plastic. Alright, I got the holes drilled. So now we can use this to line it up with here, and we use 7/32. That's a guess on my part, without looking it up. 7/32. The next size up would be 15/64, and then you got the 1/4 inch. So if I use a 15/64, it might not get a good a thread in there. But I can safely say that I'll be able to cut a thread in a 7/32 hole in this plastic and tap it in with the 1/4 thread tap. So we're going to commence to drill these 2 holes here that I need, and we'll do that off camera, and we'll come back on it when I'm ready to tap. Alright, so we're going to drill this. And we pull this out. We got our hole started. Now I may be off camera here. And we don't want to mess up the bristles too much here. Alright. Now we got 2 holes in here. Now we're ready to tap these 2 holes with a 1/4 tap. So we're going to do that right now. When we get these tapped out into here, then we got to figure out how to get this here threaded onto the wood. That's going to be my biggest challenge. Now I probably have to file this and keep filing it gently until I can get this thing to thread. It'd be nice if this had a little point on it and I can drive it in there. But I don't think the handle's going to really stay on too good unless I can put some kind of a nut on the other end of this. And that is going to be a challenge. That'll determine whether this is a success or a failure. Alright, I got a 1/4 thread tap here. My hands are freezing. I went out here without a coat, as it's almost 50 degrees, but I don't know how these guys can work in the cold weather in a shed that's 20, or in a garage that's 20 degrees or lower. I just can't do it. Alright, move some of this stuff out of the way so you can see. Maybe you can see what I'm doing. We're not working in metal, we're working in plastic, so we don't have to get too fussy with it. We can more or less crank it down and we don't have to, rock it and break the chips away like you do in metal. It's going in pretty easy. And of course I can't tell it because to the bristles I can't tell if it's going to be damaging the bristles or not. We try not to go in too far. I don't know how deep of a thread or how good of a thread I made. It's 7/32 is the drill bit I use for running the 1/4 thread. Maybe I should have gone down to a smaller drill, the next size down. I'm not a machinist, of course, so I think it should work. If not, well, if the head comes off, I'll just have to put bigger. I'll put bigger bolts in here and tap it using the same holes without re-drilling this. Well, I've never done this before. This is just something I just wanted to utilize. I can't see throwing this out when it'll become a nice little broom. If I can get the handle to stay on. We'll run it through again. The question is, do I have any 1/4 bolts? Might have used them all up in that leaf plow that I built last summer. Or last fall. I hope you can see what I'm doing here. Nope. Well, that tap is all out and done with anyways. So what I got to do is to put 2 1/4 bolts in here. Hopefully they'll hold in here. Before I can do that, I got to get the handle to thread into here. Alright. Boy, that went in hard. I had to use a vice grip on here. And now she's in there tight. If you can see, very hard now that the handle's on it. What I had to do was take a rat tail file and file the inside of this hole so I can make a taper so it'll thread its way into this plywood, and it really held good. Now whether it'll hold up or not when I'm using it is another story altogether. So now I've got to find 2 1/4 bolts that are long enough, and we'll see what we can come up with. Well, I found 1 1/4 it goes in. I got to see if I can locate another one. Like I say, I think I used them all up. Here's I think this is another one, but it's a little shorter. Might work. Well, we'll come back on the video when I get the 2 bolts I need to go in here. Boy, my hands are freezing out here. I can't work in temperatures that are real cold. And in the shed, it's probably in the 40s. Well, there's one. And we'll come back on it in a little bit here. I don't know if you can see this or not. I'll try to get this down so you can see it. Probably is not a very good camera angle here, but one of these bolts is a little longer than I like it to be, and one is a flat blade, and the other one's a 7/16 bolt. That they're both 1/4 20. Oh, my damn eyesight. I can't. That's why I hate working with slotted screws too, because the screwdriver keeps falling out of the slot. That's looking pretty good here. I just hope I don't strip out the plastic. I can feel it drawing down. This bolt here is long on this side, and it's going to really go into the bristles, which I don't like to happen. But it's just the way it's going to have to be. After all, it's a Rube Goldberg idea that I just thought up to make use of an otherwise useless broken broom. Now, if the plastic don't strip out, I've got it made. That's my only concern. If the plastic don't strip out and the handle won't come out, you're all set. Let's take it outside. All right. Get a better view of it. Now, I can clean out the snowblower or small areas with it, and I don't have to throw it in the trash. Thanks for watching, everybody, and have a good day.